What is up, guys? Bearhamms here with the first episode of Let's Talk Loons, just tiny little podcasts about everything Minnesota United. And our first episode will be talking about the 2021 end of season roster update. Minnesota United announced roster updates following the conclusion of the 2021 Major League Soccer season. Michael Boxall, Hassani Dotson, Chase Gasper, and Dane St. Clair all received new contracts that will start in 2022. Baki Dabasi, Fred Emmings, Franco Fragapane, Nico Hansen, Ja'Cory Hayes, Adrian Unu, Eziel Jackson, Robin Lod, Tyler Miller, Manuel Reynoso, Joseph Rosales, and Patrick Weah are guaranteed for the 2022 season. Also, contract options were picked up for Nabalai Kamaguchi. We have Justin McMaster, Roman Matiner, Callum Montgomery, DJ Taylor, and Wilt Trapp. And MNUFC have declined the contract options for Fernando Adi, Juan Agudelo, Noah Billingsley, Jan Gregush, Brent Coleman, Yuka Raitala, and Adrian Zandejas. Also, Ozzy Alonso and Ethan Finley are free agents. First, we'll talk about the players that they declined contract options, and we'll start off with Brent Coleman. He's been the longest tenured player. He's been here since the NASL days, but it makes a lot of sense, especially with Kamaguchi along with Cal Montgomery. There's some center backs in the making. Brent Coleman, he's north of 30, and I don't think he has that much left to help the Loons. He did a great job this year filling in for Boxall and Dabasi when they were hurt, but I think it's best to move on. Then we have Yuka Raitala. I have to say this is one of the better ideas to let him go. 32 years of age. He's also tied to the Finnish national team, which means he was out and about. So even if he wanted to get a spot in the rotation, it was going to be difficult, especially with Finland trying to get that World Cup spot. They didn't get it in the end, and I think it's best to move on from Raitala. Ozzy Alonso, as a free agent, makes sense. We don't know if he's going to retire sooner or later. I do hope that he does stay with the Loons as an advisor. He was a great addition for these 3 years. And also another player that will be sorely missed is Jan Gregush, which I have to say, he is the best designated player that they've had so far. Now, Babello, Reynoso, he can easily change that, but what Jan Gregush did to that midfield and just helped build it into what it is now, I gotta say kudos to him. Thank you for everything that you've done, and I wish you best for the future. He'll probably go back to Europe and play, and I'll be watching him. I hope he makes a team that makes the Europa League or the Champions League. It'll be fun to see him play, hopefully. And he's also with the Slovakian team, which is also nice. Another free agent player on there was Ethan Finley. There's some conflicting reports. Some say that he was offered, some say he wasn't offered, but he will be testing free agency, and it makes sense for him. He only has like a couple good years left. He wants to get some more starting time, and with that front four of Lod, Reynoso, Fragapane, and Unu up top, it doesn't look like he's going to get that much playing time. So, fair play to him. If he wants to move on, it makes sense for him, because I think Nico Hansen's going to take his spot as that backup winger that comes in the 60th, 70th minute. The other two players leaving are Juan Agudelo. Makes complete sense. He was so disappointing. Whenever they brought him on, you knew he wasn't going to score. It was just waiting, like, okay, let's just get this game over with. As soon as he's on, I just want the game to end. And Adi, he showed some signs. We needed some backup strikers. He did his best. He did score that just absolute shithouse of a goal, and he also had that nice pass. I think that led to an Unu goal. That was a nice one in Houston. But just like a lot of these guys, they're getting north of 30, and it's time just to say goodbye. Two players that are on the declined contract list that are not in the game are Noah Billingsley and Adrian Zandejas. Now, I'm using FIFA because it's a nice visual aid, and plus the recording system is on the PS5, so we'll just use it that way. And we'll start off with Noah Billingsley. It's a bit of a bummer. Remember, they drafted him, I think it was 2 seasons ago. Actually had somewhat high hopes for him. I think it's sort of like a Carter Manley situation where he just put on USL teams for a while, doesn't improve enough to stake a spot on the roster. I know he was with Las Vegas in his rookie season. I'm afraid I don't know where he was last year, but it makes sense to let him go. More space for some future draft picks. And then we have Adrian Zandejas, who's only here because of an emergency. They were down a couple goalkeepers last year, because I remember they had like Ranjit Singh and Dane St. Clair, and they did not want to use Fred Emmings. Fred Emmings, he's still growing, but they still didn't want to use him. So they brought him in. Didn't really do much. He was more of a guy, you'd see him on like PR stuff where they'd ask Loons questions. He's a nice guy. Thankful for your service, but kind of makes sense. This looks like the roster of goalkeepers for the future. Tyler Miller, Dane St. Clair, who did sign a 3-year deal, and Fred Emmings, the goalkeeper for the future. Overall, I think these are the best moves for the club. I think getting rid of Grey Goose is a bright idea, opens up the designated player spot. I know they've been trying to get Rafa Navarro from Brazil, though he's declined and wants to play in Europe. But still, the options are open now, and with a lot of those players leaving too, a lot of international slots leaving, it gives the Loons opportunities in the offseason to pick up some quality players, some quality depth players, and hopefully, when it comes to the expansion draft for Charlotte, they don't take one of our better players. So yes, this will be the end of the first episode. Still trying to test things out here and there. Try to do an episode every couple of weeks or so, or when a developing story pops up like the roster updates. If you like this concept, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below about some new ideas for some videos. And until next time, toodaloo.